Hello. In this video, we will talk about a very useful aspect in C++. That's the usage of maps. So why you would need maps is some scenarios, wherein let's say there is a word or a sentence, and you want to kind of keep track of how many times a particular letter has arrived or been used in a particular sentence or in a particular word for that matter. So you kind of need a mapping based on some key, what a value is, or what that key particularly holds, or something like that. Or let's say you have a list of items and you want to store the price for each of those items, and say a book costs certain amount, so against the book you want to um, store that the cost of the book is so and so. And in these kind of scenarios, specifically, that you would want to use something called as a map. So the way the map works is that it's always going to have kind of a key. Okay, and then there will be a corresponding value to that. Let's say if you have book, then it will have some value that the cost of the book is so and so. So that's how this works. And or if you take the example of a sentence, and you have some kind of a map wherein you're storing the frequency of the characters. So the key here would be that let's say the letter C, and so the value would be the frequency of the number of times the letter C has arrived, or say being used in that particular sentence. So during such scenarios, you might want to use map, and let's see how we can use map in um, such scenarios. And the syntax is something like this, that you can use something called as an unordered map in C++. Um, and the way for you to declare what the key and value is that you need to tell what is the data type of the key and what is the data type of the value. For example, you can tell the key is going to be of the type integer, the value is also going to be of the type integer, and then you can provide a name to your map. So now there are different ways of how you can initialize this map, how you can put values inside this map. You can either do at the time of initialization, which would be something like this. So what you could do is create a pair using std make pair, and then insert some values. For example, for the key of 1, the value is 5, or for the key of you can basically have another entry over there. So for the key of 6, the value is going to be 2, something of this sort. And finally terminate it over here. And then what we could do is that whenever you want to access it, or we can print what is the value of my map, and when the key is 6. So let's see if this works, and then we can discuss about the rest of the syntaxes or the operations we can do with the help of map. So the compilation is successful, and when I run, I get the output as 2. So against 6, we stored the value of 2. So when I fetch that in my map, if there is a key of 6, then tell me what its corresponding value is, and the output is 2, which is as expected. So this is one way you can declare a map and also put some values inside it at the time of declaration. Or if you don't want to do that, if you want to do that at some later point in time, what you could also do is just declare it like this, and then whenever you want to put some values to your map, what you could do is use the insert function. And the only thing needed to be put here is something like 2 comma 3. This is how you can insert a value into it. And now if you ask what is the value of 2, then the answer should be 3, because that's what we have stored. So there you go. This is another way of inserting the value inside the map. There is one more way that you might want to do. Sometimes what happens is, especially when you're storing the frequency of some characters, then you don't really want to put some specific value to a particular key, but it just you would just want to increment it. So the way I am trying to tell is that let's say you have your map and it has some value over here too, and only thing what you want to do is this: if you tell plus plus, so what is going to happen here is let's see what happens without this statement. So because there's something interesting happening over here which you would want to know. So we have declared a map, we have not put any values inside the map, and I am directly accessing the key 2, which is not there in the map. So let's see what's going to happen in this kind of a scenario. So compilation is successful, so there is no error, no warning, and when you execute you get the value of 0. So what's happening here is that the danger with this kind of a accessing, or this kind of a syntax with respect to the maps, is that if you access a key that does not exist in the map, it will end up creating that entry for you. So what is happening when we do or when we access something like this is that a new entry is being created in the map whose key is of 2, and the value by default, since the values are the type integer, the value by default is set to 0, and that is why you get the output of 0. So what happens when you do something like this is that, again, when we're in this particular line, the key 2 is not there in the map, so it will be created. So you'll have an entry with the key as 2 and the value as 0, and then you're doing plus plus, which means whatever is the corresponding value of this particular key, increment that value by 1. So what's going to happen is the key will be 2, the value will be 1. So when you access that in the line number 10 for this particular key, then you have to see the output as 1. So let's just check that. So there you go. This is another key aspect that you want to that you might want to know when working with maps. But other than that, there are quite a lot of functions that you're going to use when you go ahead and write some code in the future. For example, you kind of have a map which has some key and values which are already stored, and then you want to find if a particular key is present in that particular map or not. So that is another operation that is very much common. Um, so the way we could do that, let me check if I can recall. Yeah, you just have to give the find, and you can provide maybe the key of it. And what's going to happen is that we can bring in an if loop or if condition, and if whatever we are trying to find, we can kind of store an iterator to it. And what we can tell is that okay, I think I will shift this down here. It might be a bit confusing at the initial stages. So what we're trying to do here is that from this particular map, we are trying to find if there is a key 2, and what we can then do is that if that iterator, what we got to that particular entry, if it is not equal to the map's end, then we can tell that key found. Let me get rid of this, otherwise we tell that we did not find anything of that particular sort. So let's go ahead and put that logic as well, um, and let me compile. So now it says key not found because what we're doing here is that when we use this find, we are not actually accessing that. So it's quite a little bit different from the previous syntax we saw, wherein we were kind of trying to access that. So if I bring back the previous syntax, wherein I said something like this, even though 2 was not present in the map, an entry would be created. But when you use something like a find, if that entry is not there, it's not going to be created. So let's execute this once again and see what the output will be. So this will strengthen our understanding further. So what's going to happen here is that because of line 8, even though the value 2 was not there in the map, that entry was added. So now we have an entry in the map whose key is 2 and the value is 1 because of this increment over here. And then after that, we are trying to say, or we are trying to find if my map has a key of 2. And because of this statement, the map does have a key of 2. So whenever we find an entry in the map, what this find will do is it will return kind of an iterator, or something that points to that particular key. So we will be talking about pointers and all those things in some of the later videos, but for now, how you can think of this iterator as is something that points to that particular key or that particular pair of key and a value whose key is 2. So now, when it does not find anything of this particular key, it just points to the end of the map, which tells that it's not there. So that's what the logic does here, that if whatever it is pointing to after this find operation, if it is not pointing to the end of the map, it means it is pointing to something that is there in the map, and we have found the key, and that's why this executes. But if it points to the end, it usually means that you don't have that particular entry in the map. So these are the different ways with which you will be commonly working with map. And yeah, that's what I wanted to convey through this video. Let's meet in the next video. Thank you.